going to be covering the top 5 gaming icons of all time. Hope you guys enjoy.
Alright, so
number 5.
We're going to go backwards. So starting with number 5.
Starting with number 5.
I think that the number 5 gaming icon of all time is relatively new. And when I say relatively new, I mean
like beginning of 2000s.
Well, like since you've it's before you were alive.
Yes.
But it's like
around his.
I was kind of almost even an adult when this happened, right?
Yes.
When he first came out.
Around college years, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that before we get into who number 5 is, I think we should talk about
the game itself.
A couple of not the game, you're right. But I was going to say a few of the honorable mentions, right?
Okay.
So who do you think? Go ahead.
One honorable mention, I think, is the Slither.io logo. I know a lot of you will probably disagree with me on this, but it really brought the .io games into the world with a bang.
Understandable. The new generation, meaning this generation of gaming, the Slither.io guy, hey, I've seen toys at Target, Walmart. This is legit. This is the next generation of gaming.
Yes.
So I agree. That's definitely an honorable mention.
Yes, it is.
So my first honorable mention that to me doesn't quite make the list is Qbert.
Yes, Qbert.
Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Hopping up and down his little pyramid of
trying to avoid the snakes.
Yeah, exactly, right? Qbert was cool. I remember when the Qbert game first came out, I loved it so much. I used to play it at a place in Waltham called the Wallex. They had an arcade. It was like a bowling alley, but they had a little arcade in the front. Actually, it wasn't even that little. It was a fairly good-sized arcade for what they had for arcades back then. Qbert. Amazing.
And I still have Qbert on my iPad to this day.
And we have it downstairs in our arcade, too. We have one of those MAME arcades in the basement, and there is a Qbert game down there.
And one of my other favorite games.
Yes. All right, so we've had a couple of honorable mentions, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure there's plenty more that we didn't even talk about. Like whatever that little guy's name was from Dig Dug, like he was kind of legendary, right? Dig Dug? I don't know.
I've never played that game.
Maybe that was his name, Dig Dug. Oh, you've never played Dig Dug. We got to get downstairs tonight after we do this video, and I'm going to show you Dig Dug. It's amazing. It's legendary. It was in every pizza joint growing up, and it was like one of those. See, you didn't live in this generation, but I think some of the people watching might enjoy this. But like, they used to have these coffee table style video game arcade machines. So you'd sit down, and the table itself that you'd sit at to eat your pizza flat, like the game was face down. So like the TV screen faced straight at the ceiling. And you would like play your game on the table as you like ate your pizza or whatever it was. You can still get them, you know. I'm sure we could find a picture of it to share on this video or whatever. But super cool stuff.
Yes. Okay, let's get into the list now.
Let's get into the list. Yes. All right. Enough goofing around.
Okay. Number 4.
5. 4.
Yes. 5.
5.
5.
Number 5. I mean 5.
Did you even go to school?
No. So, number 5. I think we both agreed. We made a list up front, and we definitely agreed that number 5 of all time is
Master Chief from Halo.
Boom. I bet you would expect this guy to say that Master Chief is number 1, but
no,
it's hard to argue with the rest of the list. And I think that, hands down, Master Chief.
Had to make it into
He's got to make the list.
He's one of the main icons. He's not on the shirt, but I do like Halo.
Yeah, but
I do like Halo. I do play Halo.
And Master Chief, like, there's a video game truck, and we got the video game truck birthday.
He was on it.
And he was on the back of it. You know, like, this truck is so cool. It comes in, it's like a big trailer, and it pulls into your driveway. At least that's what they did for us. Pulled right in the driveway, and they've got like, how many different TVs did they have in the back?
7.
7 different TVs with like an Xbox hooked up to each one, and you could play
Or
games.
PlayStation.
Yeah, or a PlayStation. You could play Fortnite or Halo or whatever.
Pretty much anything.
Any game that you want. But anyways, they had like, you know,
As long as it was free.
Donkey Kong, another honorable mention, you know, on the thing, and a bunch of other honorable mentions actually that, you know, we could probably get into at some point. But anyways,
Maybe another.
number 5, Master Chief.
Hands down.
Hands down. Okay, moving right along. Okay, moving right along. Number 4. Now, we didn't agree on number 4.
You didn't.
We didn't. And I think that we still don't really agree.
No, we still don't.
So we're going to have to talk about it. So it comes down to a debate between what I say is Samus from Metroid.
Wait,
I'm even
wait,
saying the name right. It's Samus? Or
Yes, it is
Yeah,
Samus.
Samus.
Hold on.
Or
It's obvious at this point, like, knowing how much this tiny game has grown.
yeah.
Minecraft Steve. Almost biggest gaming icon in the world.
It's hard to argue with that, but you know, I mean, I just think of all of the different, you know, over the years, all of the
Minecraft has been a huge part of almost a lot of people's childhoods, and especially kids nowadays. Minecraft has grown into one of the biggest games in the world, and it's hard to beat the legendary Steve icon with almost anything else in the world.
You know, it's so hard to argue with that. I mean, I almost just kind of selfishly want Samus to be, just because it was such a big part of my childhood, and I played all the Metroids from the first one back on the original Nintendo, and you know, moving right through to Super Nintendo, and then GameCube, and then 64, and everything. Like, I played all of those Metroids, and I love them all the way up through the Wii, I think, right? And I think that's kind of where I sort of fell off. But I got to admit,
Minecraft is hard to beat.
last year we went to something called Minecon. Mine Fair. I've never been to a Metroid fair.
That just doesn't exist.
It just doesn't exist. So I think that
Do they really
I think that I'm going to give up on this one and let you have it. I think you're right.
Metroid plushes? Do they though? I don't
Well,
think so.
I mean, there's a Metroid toy just right over here.
I mean,
there's-
yeah, but I said
there's-
plush.
And I guarantee that if we were to Google a Metroid plush, we'd
Probably
find
somewhere,
one.
yeah.
Like a Samus plush, we'd probably find one. Or a Mother Brain or something like that. Mother Brain! Sorry. Yeah, so probably, I bet we could find one. But I do think that you're right. I think that there's way more Minecraft stuff.
Minecraft is right over $1 billion on downloads alone.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Alright. And I don't think that I can argue with that. So you're right. Moving right along.
And just compared to the in-game purchases, it's just ridiculous.
So let's make it official. Number 4, boom, Steve.
Minecraft from Steve from
Minecraft.
Minecraft from Steve.
Awesome. All right, so we've got 3 more, and I think that when we start to get into the top 2,
We get into more original games, like from when video games started to.
but I think that it's when we give away number 2, I think number 1 is going to kind of probably tell the story,
Not
right?
really.
Well, I
I mean,
mean,
a little bit.
the top 3 to me are obvious, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can I just say the top 3, and then we'll rank them as as we kind of continue our conversation? Yeah, this is not in any necessary order, right? Like, just randomly, I think that the top 3 to me obviously are PacMan, Mario, and Link from Zelda.
And in the comments, right now, if you're allowed to write comments, write down in the comments section which order you think we put them in. Right now, like before you watch the rest of the
Before
video.
you watch the rest of the video, yeah, because this isn't live. We're going to post this later. But, we're going to talk for another few minutes, and while we're talking, you guys put in the comments what order you think they are.
What order you think, and if you guessed right, might get a shout out in the next video. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Alright, so I think that we did sort of both agree that the number 3, should we just kind of say it? In our opinion, we think that the top 2 are 100% debatable, and we have our answer, but we think that it's 100% debatable, and it really could go either way. But we do think that there's one that's just a little bit less.
And that
is
Link from Zelda.
Link from Zelda. So officially, we're ranking Link from Zelda as number 3. Boom!
Explosion. Like a little gif here of an explosion or something.
Alright, so that brings us to our top 2. And obviously when we give you the number 2 answer, that's going to seed the number 1 as number 1, right? Because you know that we're only talking about, there's only 2 left.
Older games, yeah.
Right? So the 2 that we're talking about, the 2 that are remaining, are PacMan and Mario.
Which order do you think?
Now, so so you can add in, into the comments what you think. But let's talk about it for a minute. Let's talk about why. Let's do pros and cons of each. So, what is it about Pac-Man that could potentially put him into the number 1 spot?
Number 1 spot is a very enjoyable game, completely easy controls.
Yep.
Very lovable character. It's been out for several years now, decades at this point, probably.
Way longer than Mario, actually, right?
Way longer, yeah.
And we're going to get into another honorable mention in a minute. When it comes to Mario, actually, I won't even do a minute. We'll just say it right now, because Mario actually got his start based on another game that was, do you remember? I'll give you a hint if you don't remember. We play it downstairs on the arcade all the time. It's your favorite game to play.
Donkey Kong.
Right. So the original game that Mario got his start on was actually Donkey Kong.
And that is a very big honorable mention, and we could have even put it on this list, but I don't know if it beats
Donkey Kong.
The rest of the list.
Definitely could have been on this list. He's definitely an honorable mention.
But he's not bigger than Halo, Minecraft, or other.
So that's Mario. And I'm sorry, I kind of sidetracked us a little bit, but we're talking about. But when you talk about games like Donkey Kong, right? Pac-Man was right around the same era. I mean, those guys came out at the same time. These are some of the video game, the arcade game classics of all time.
Some of the first video games on, or even created ever.
Another honorable mention, Frogger. That was another major arcade game.
Another one, I don't know if this is original or not. I mean, it's definitely a popular, definitely honorable mention for arcade games, Crossy Road.
Say again?
Crossy Road.
Crossy Road, right, which is basically Frogger. But I think that the original game was called Frogger, I think,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was.
The newer game is called Crossy Road. Yeah, based on Frogger, totally. But anyways, so I'd say that one of the things that Pac-Man has going for it is longevity. It's the older of the 2. Between Pac-Man and Mario, Pac-Man's definitely been around longer.
It has been.
And I'll also say that I remember as a kid, and I'm not a young guy, right? I'm in my 40s. And I remember there being, when I was like Matthew's age, I remember there being a Pac-Man cartoon way back then on Saturday mornings.
They made a new 3D Pac-Man cartoon in my life, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't even imagine the countless Pac-Man cartoons that have been on throughout the years. And not only that, but every pie chart in the world, everybody's like, oh, it looks like Pac-Man. Pac-Man's one of the most recognizable video game characters of all time. And I don't think there's any denying it. He's either number 1 or number 2. What do you think?
I honestly don't know. I think we just wait for the people to find out after we finish saying the pros and cons of each. Okay. But we haven't gotten any cons of Pac-Man, though.
Okay, so let's do some of the cons. Some of the cons are, it's really old. The game is very old.
It's an old game. You don't have many controls. It is basic, which is good for younger kids because they don't have to be in advanced controls.
And let's be honest, too, right? Mm-hmm. Any new versions of Pac-Man that have come out in the last 30 years.
Are better.
Well, I was going to say, like, nobody really cares about.
True.
Whereas with Mario, he's had a ton of games. Like, so we already said that he originated in Donkey Kong, and then he had his own game, Mario Brothers. But then he was in Super Mario Brothers. But then he's been in, like,
Mario Maker, Odyssey.
Mario Kart. There was like a Wario game. Like, there's endless games for Mario, and like, they're not like garbage throwaway games. I'm sure some of them are, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the truth is that like PacMan 3D and I don't know. I remember on Super Nintendo, there's a PacMan game that nobody really cared about, right? So there's a ton of those.
There are a lot of rip-off games. I mean, from the same company, I wouldn't necessarily call them rip-offs, but they are not as good as the original game that made them games.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So I think for that reason alone, and, you know, for everything that we've discussed, I think that we both agree, and our number 2... Should we say number 2 or number 1? Because whichever one's not number 1 is going to be number 2.
Yeah, sure.
Should we?
I say number 2 first.
We say we announce number 2, which makes the number 1 obvious.
And then when we say number 1, we go into like the reasons why it's so good and stuff.
Okay, cool. All right, ready?
Yes.
So let's do number 2. Sure. All right, ready? So 3, 2, 1. Pac-Man! So Pac-Man's number 2. We think that Pac-Man is the number 2 most iconic character in gaming history. And the reason why is really because when it comes to Mario,
you just can't be beaten in icons. It's just not possible.
He's just the most iconic figure of all time when it comes to gaming.
Almost nothing can beat that character.
I mean, when I think of video games as a child growing up,
you think of Mario.
I think of either Pac-Man or I think of Mario, but
Donkey Kong maybe.
There's just so many games. You know, Mario just keeps reinventing himself, and between cartoons and, like you said, plushies and just everything throughout the years. I mean, Mario is the epitome. So, what do you think?
I say Mario is more. It started with Donkey Kong. Character Mario, I don't even know if he was named at that point, was he?
Yeah, I think his name was Mario. Yeah, in the Donkey Kong.
That
I think so.
Originated in just so many games that it's just like Mario. Like, if you know one game,
yep,
even if it's newer, you will know who Mario is. You get one of those games, Mario's in it, you know who Mario is better than almost any other character made by whatever company made Mario. I don't know, I'm sorry.
It was Nintendo, I think.
Yeah.
But, actually the original Mario? I'm not sure. But, I'll tell you what, can I add to what you're saying? Because I think I'm with you and I agree. But, like, it almost comes down to, like, those people who don't know about games or gaming. Like, I grew up playing video games, and I know a lot about video.
I do too.
I'm not like Mr. Gaming Guy or anything like that.
Me.
Like, like he's shaping up to be. But when I was his age, I was Mr. Gaming Guy, like him, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what? Moms. It comes down to moms, right? I know it sounds weird and you're laughing, right? But every mom in the world knows.
It's video games.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say they
watch David's TV.
They know who Mario is, right? It's a household name, Super Mario or Mario. At least, I mean, I think my mom definitely knows who Mario is. But then again, my mom probably knows who Pac-Man is. But I think more moms probably know who Mario is at this point in the world, you know? Anyways, that's our list, right?
One more honorable mention, I didn't think of this before, Space Invaders.
Space Invaders. You know, that's not really a character, and I was thinking of it before.
But it is a game that has blew up over the years.
It was, and, you know, Pitfall was another one that, you probably don't even know what Pitfall is. There was a character in Pitfall, I don't remember his name. But there's been so many amazing video games over the years, and Pitfall, Space Invaders, Asteroids, Arkanoid, you know. It goes way back. But that's our top 5 iconic characters of all time. I hope you liked it. Leave us a comment and tell us what you think. Tell us we're wrong. We're probably wrong. We probably forgot about a bunch of stuff.
Wait. One more honorable mention.
Oh, here we go. All right, another honorable mention. The show's not over till I say it's over. Let's get it.
It's newer, but it is bigger. I mean, it's not bigger than any of these, but it is definitely almost trailing on the top 100 spot.
Yeah? Okay.
The, what's that character on the cover of Overwatch?
Oh, I don't know. Overwatch? See, that's why I lost it. I don't know. I'm not a gamer like that anymore.
Still way.
Oh, you push me. Why are you bullying me?
So, the character, the girl, we'll have an image about now. Like,
boom.
That character. Yeah, right.
Alright, so whoever that girl is from Overwatch. Another honorable mention. Alright.
That is our list.
Are we ready to wrap it up?
This video is getting way too long.